Hi guys, I'm back again to bring you guys a new video. In this video, we're going to be talking about my picks of the top 5 best adult cartoons of all time. This is a video I've been dying to make because I'm such a fan of all the shows on this list, and what do you guys say? Let's get into it with number 5. So, number 5 is a show that I enjoy so much, and that's King of the Hill. King of the Hill is such a great show, and it's one of the shows that I always heard people talking about, but I never saw it at the time. So when I finally sat down and watched King of the Hill, I was blown away. I couldn't believe the things that this show is actually doing. It is an adult cartoon, but I feel like it's one of the few adult cartoons that can be really enjoyed at any age range. Adults can really relate to Hank and his friends, and kids can watch the show and really kind of relate to Bobby and maybe some of the things that he's going through. It's such a fantastic show, and if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. King of the Hill, in my personal opinion, never really dipped in quality. It's one of the few shows that has ever existed that I feel has stayed really consistent. King of the Hill is such a great show. Like I said, it's filled with fantastic characters, awesome stories, and it's just super timeless, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So, speaking of Mike Judge, at number 4 we have Beavis and Butt-Head. Beavis and Butt-Head is one of my favorite adult cartoons and favorite shows of all time just because it's so ridiculous. Sure, I can honestly say that shows do come along and try to be random for the sake of being random. Yes, it returns. But Beavis and Butt-Head had that random formula down pat, and it's one of the few shows that I feel has ever done that really perfectly. Beavis and Butt-Head are two characters that are super dumb and dim-witted but so lovable at the same time. I've seen this series so many times from beginning to end, and even, seeing these episodes on repeat, I'm always intrigued to see what they do next. It's always like, what is he going to do? Is he really going to do that? Yeah, he really did that. Yeah, Beavis and Butt-Head is just so good. It's so timeless. It's another one of those shows that I feel is so timeless. I think I'm gonna say that a lot in this video. But it is. It truly is. And I know that they actually brought it back a few years ago, but it wasn't up to the same quality that the original seasons were. Sure, it was great, and it was what Beavis and Butt-Head should be in the 2010s, but I feel like that original flavor was kind of lost in the mix. The original recipe was there, but I feel like some of the most initial ingredients were kind of left to the wayside, and that's why the reboot really suffered. So maybe one day we'll get another series of Beavis and Butt-Head. I can only pray, because Mike Judge really makes some great stuff, and well, that's why Beavis and Butt-Head is number 4 on my top 5 list. It's so good. Speaking of awesome shows, at number 3 we have Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is one of my favorite adult cartoons just because it's so iconic, it's so special, I feel. It's one of the best Adult Swim shows, and it's one of the shows that really got their channel off the ground. If Aqua Teen Hunger Force wasn't on Adult Swim, I can't imagine where that channel would be or if they would even exist. There were shows at the time that were gaining popularity, just like Aqua Teen with Robot Chicken, Squidbillies, and a few other namely shows, but Aqua Teen really stood out. It was so creative, I feel. There's just something really compelling about this show and so charming. I love how it's just honestly kind of poorly animated. I'm pretty sure Aqua Teen Hunger Force is actually animated in Flash, but it still looks so great at the same time. The way that this show is animated and drawn, it's just so simple, and that really adds to the show. Master Shake, Frylock, Meatwad, Carl, the Mooninites, there are so many awesome characters to name as well, and it's just like, I can't believe this show is cancelled. They finale'd it and then brought it back a few times. It's just like, bring it back. It's one of Adult Swim's best. It was one of the best shows that they'll ever have, and I can't really see them coming out with anything that's going to top it unless we talk about number 2, and with that said, let's get right into it. So, as I said in number 3, number 2 on this list is another Adult Swim show, and that's Rick and Morty. I remember watching Adult Swim back in the day and just being so absorbed in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I never thought a show could come along and dethrone that show from being the best on the channel. But Rick and Morty totally does. It's such a fantastic show. I can't get enough of this one. Rick and Morty is such a great show. I love this one. So many of you guys told me to watch this show, and I sat down and I was like, you know what? How good is this show really going to be? Is it going to be great? I was like, you know what? I'll check out a few episodes and see what I think about it. But little did I know I would sit there and watch like a season and a half in one sitting. It's so fun. It's so fantastic, and I absolutely love these characters. Do you guys remember the movie series Back to the Future? Well, you should, because it's one of the best of all time, and you should remember Doc and Marty and their fantastic relationship that they had with each other, and Rick and Morty really has that same relationship. Morty and Rick are this awesome duo of characters that just bounce off each other fantastically. Rick and Morty is one huge parody. It knows that, and it definitely works with that. Like I said, this show is really inspired by Back to the Future and the relationship that Doc and Marty had. So you have the two main characters, right? You have Rick and you have Morty. Let's start off with Rick. Rick is like this old man who's really stubborn, and he's like, you know what? It's gonna be my way or the highway and no way else. And then you have Morty, who's the grandson of Rick, and he's just this little kid and he's trying to experience things for the first time. He's growing up, it's a weird stage in his life, but Rick always just feels the need to have him tag along on his little adventures, and honestly, little is kind of like an understatement. Rick and Morty get involved in some pretty crazy stuff here, but I don't really want to talk about it too much because it's a show that you guys need to experience for yourselves. Just like I did, you guys need to sit down and enjoy the show. It's so fantastic, I love it so much, and that's why it's number 2 on my top 5 best adult cartoons of all time list. So here we are again, back on the channel at number 1, and well, what's it gonna be? Oh yeah, the drum roll's permanent. It's a thing. Number 1, the best adult cartoon of all time is South Park. South Park is such a great show. I absolutely adore this one. This show is so fantastic, and it's one of the real pioneers of the adult cartoon genre. South Park is one of the best shows, best adult cartoons, and best cartoons of all time. And like I said, a lot of shows on this list look to South Park for inspiration just because it's a masterclass in so many categories. The comedy is on point, the characters are hilarious, it's written so well, and it's so clever. I absolutely love this one. Like I said, a lot of shows look at South Park for inspiration, but at the same time, some other shows don't look at it just for that. A lot of shows actually came along and tried to bite the style of South Park by having these characters that are super over the top and just loudmouth, and it really didn't work. The reason why South Park works is because we love the characters. The characters are so hilarious and in a few ways really honestly relatable. There's so many great notable characters in this one with Cartman, Kyle, Stan, Kenny, Jimbo, Randy Marsh, all of the parents, Jimbo, Ned, Token, Jimmy, like there's so many characters, and Butters, how can we ever forget Butters? Still to this day, years and years later, I think on the 18th or even 19th season, I still love watching the show. It's so fantastic and I love getting wrapped up in their little stories. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Do you guys like South Park? Leave me a comment in the comment section down below and let me know. And with that said, that brings us to the end of another video. This has been the top 5 best adult cartoons of all time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But if this is the first video you've ever seen here on my YouTube channel and you haven't gotten your fill of this channel, definitely check out those playlists in the description down below and check out these videos right here to be taken to them. If you check them out, let me know what you think in the comment sections of those videos and I'll definitely get back to you. And if you guys have any of the social media websites being displayed on screen, check out the description and find out ways in which you can interact with me on them. And like always, it's been a week. I'll see you guys in a week. I love you all. The support on this channel is more than I could have ever dreamed of. Keep your eyes peeled for upcoming videos, and I'll see you guys then. Bye guys!